Hi, welcome to Skip's Corner, where I cover Nashville's baseball history and events and introduce you to players, coaches, and other fans. Well, I hope you were able to listen to part one of my conversation with Larry Schmittou that was published last week. And if you haven't, please go back and listen to it. And then today is part two. Not only did he found the Nashville Sounds and develop it into a first-class minor league organization, he had other things going on too. He became the vice president of the Texas Rangers, but he also made an attempt to bring Major League Baseball to Nashville. And in this segment, part two, he's going to go into a little bit of detail about that and other things as well. So I hope you'll sit back and listen to part two of my conversation with Larry Schmittou. So you come back home, you leave Texas and you come back home. When did it start that you had an idea that Major League Baseball could really come to Nashville? Did you have that thought the whole time you were in the early days of the Sounds and on through Texas?
Oh, I had that thought all along. I thought that naturally the stadium was always going to be a problem. And so I was kind of looking for a place that, if it could, and I finally found a place over I-24 in Briley, had all those acreage, and the Greer family had owned some of that, and so I had an option. I put an option in. Okay, I got that solved, but I don't have that major player, the one that's got the money. And so, amazingly, Bronson Ingram surfaced and said, head of the Board of Trustees at Vanderbilt when I was winning. And for some reason, he said, if you need me, I'm there. So I sold him, got somebody on 1% or something. And so I had that, and now you needed to show an effort. And so I started that Major League Drive. A lot of people, especially one sports reporter, made fun of it unmercifully, but we had the ownership group, we had the money man, we had the city, we had to convince people we could get that ballpark built. Bill Bonner was a mayor then, so we went to New York, made our proposal, and Ed McWhorter was crucial. As governor, he just said, "Don't worry about the money. I'll make sure it's there for the stadium." We invested about $250,000 in that effort. We sold $100 deposits of season tickets. I forget exactly how many. It's 11 or 12,000 people did that. I thought we made a good presentation. Eddie Arnold agreed to do the video for us, and we had a good video. We showed it. Steinbrenner did everything he could to help promote us, and we didn't make the final cut. And it was already predetermined that Denver was going to get one. We knew that. So it was one left, and everybody thought Tampa Bay would be the major competitor, and all of a sudden Miami came out of nowhere. Then they had the second expansion. They called me, and I said, I've worn out. You know, I don't want to go through where media's saying Nashville can't do this and can't do that. Media didn't help us at all.
I want to backtrack just a little bit because I wanted to ask you earlier about some of the players that you had that came to the Sounds. I have a few that I know that are well known, but can you tell me some of those players that made on the field success a part of the Sounds history?
Well, all of them were very cordial. I don't think we ever had a bad egg in anybody. Skeeter Barnes is a name that, you know, is so special to me because of where he came from and how long he worked at it. But he was such a great personality. You know, the Maddenings of the world were all business. But some of the people like Buck Showalter wound up marrying one of our Sound dads. Brian Polberg became a popular favorite of our regular players. There's just so many of them. They were so accommodating, you know. Minor leaguers are that way. Major leaguers, not that way. But minor leaguers, if you ask them for their autograph, they're impressed by that. And we involved some of them in some very crazy promotions.
What about names that I remember? Willie McGee and Otis Nixon.
Willie was, again, one of my favorites. He was very quiet. He didn't like that nickname they gave him. He was so talented. I always remember they hit a ball to center fielder one day, almost to the 405 mark. He's running to catching the ball, hit him right in the back. I said, Willie, you're the only guy I know can outrun a baseball.
That's funny.
And, but he just played. When he made the big leagues, I asked him, Shirley and I was at the World Series. He hit 2 home runs the night before, made a circus catch. He's wandering up. They didn't take batting practice. Right, waiting the gates to open. And I asked him about that, how he liked that big league money. And he said, well, Coach, I don't have much, so I'm just kind of living off my meal money, and I'm using my other salary to buy my mama a house. Several years later, he's making $3 or $4 million, and he comes in for an exhibition game, and we got to talking, and he said, I just pay myself a salary, and I put the rest of it in, so I'm smart enough to figure out what to do with it. Mattingly, he just, he and Balboni both were just so quiet, just went about their business. But Otis Nixon, I remember Napoleon, he owes his career to Ed Napoleon, who was our assistant coach there. I think he got picked off first base 15 out of the 16 times he was directed to steal. And Knapp kept working with him on his speed. And Pat Tabler was another just guy that went out there and did it. We had a special group, both AAA and AA.
I think people are still fascinated that during 2 seasons, baseball was played every day during the season at Greer Stadium when the Nashville Xpress. How did that happen when they came to Nashville as the AA club while the Sounds were playing a AAA schedule?
Well, this guy bought the AA franchise from Columbus, I guess it was. And he thought he was going to get a team in Lexington, and they kept jockeying around about a stadium. So they had no place to play. We're having a Southern League meeting. What are we going to do? Because you can't have an odd number of teams. You're going to have everybody having 16 open dates. I had read somewhere where, St. Louis Browns and St. Louis Cardinals all played in the same stadium one year. Somebody in the minor leagues had done that too. So I figured, and I told Jimmy Brake at the time, I said, if you let us jockey with a schedule, I'll take the team. So that's how it came about. We were able to look at the Sound schedule, AAA, and figure out when they were on the road. We filled in the blanks. And actually, our manager at AAA and Phil Roof at AA never saw each other until the last day of the season, because we just move one team out, move the other team in. It worked better, even though, again, that same reporter criticized everything we was doing. It worked out better for the front office because now we could have a regular work week. We work 1 week, off week, and so work your 40 hours, we fill in. Our groundskeeper was taxed with keeping the field going, but, we, both of them, AA had a whole bunch of guys that wound up going to the big leagues, Troy Hawkins and all that bunch. And so we didn't have any problems.
And then several times you had a team come in from Birmingham, the Birmingham Barons, and they brought a very special player who probably helped the gate a little bit, didn't it?
Well, now that you're talking about Michael Jordan, we thought he might be coming to the Sounds AAA, but he wasn't a very good player. He went to Birmingham, White Sox affiliate. They came in, and we didn't really know what to expect from that. That first day, it was just, we could have sold 40,000 tickets. And instead, we put everything on reserve, even a general admission, sold it out, and I always remember Terry Francona was their manager. He came into my office, usually visiting manager comes in and is complaining about something. But Terry's such a class guy. He said, this is going on everywhere we go. You know, normally on a pass list, you got 20 or 25 people. Well, his pass list is about 100. So we got nowhere for him to sit. I said, well, Terry, I'm going by seeing my pants. So this won't occur, but the only thing I can do is seat your people in the stadium club. He said, that's fine. Every time he would come in, I always remember Ellis Clary, a great baseball scout, not always go down to first base gate, greet people as they left. And they hit a fly ball out to right field, and Jordan's playing there. And he turns the wrong way. And then all of a sudden flips around. He's such a big guy, sticks his glove out and catches the ball. And everybody gives a standing ovation. And I said, Ellis, that's the first time you ever saw a guy get a standing ovation for misjudging a fly ball. So, he worked hard. He just wasn't a good player.
Was there one promotion that you did that just blew every other promotion you did away? Was it used car night or something else? Did anything just really draw the fans more than another?
Chicken.
The chicken.
I booked that chicken. I booked that bird for about 90 different times with all my different clubs, including the major leagues and hockey team. Somebody asked me one time, said, when are you going to quit scheduling a chicken? I said, when he quits paying his way. So that was one guaranteed promotion. We had some other. The worst promotion I ever did was Annie. We had her sing that national anthem. So Anquilla was her name. This guy that got me Anquilla, he suggested I do a redhead lookalike. So we did that, and we had 101 or so little redheaded girls and one redheaded boy. And that boy was mad as could be by his mama. I could tell him. And I said, don't worry, we'll get you out real quick. So we did get him out. And then Conway had this song, Tight Fitting Jean Contest. So we decided to have that. That was some scene of some of those ladies that are a little overweight got in that. Used car night was popular. Chuck Morgan made it more popular because he would come up with, we got this Chevrolet down there and it's guaranteed to reach the front gate, or it's got his original air in the tires. He was good at not only that, but creating names, Gino, Manise, and stuff. So he added a lot to our atmosphere.
Now, your relationship with the Sounds ended, I believe, in 1996. Was that a hard time for you? I'm guessing that it would have been, but I don't know for you and your family emotionally. How would you describe that time for you?
Well, I think it actually was 97 when it became official, but 96, the Titans had come in. We didn't have a real congenial ownership group at that time. I was a general partner all the time. The others were limited partners, but sometimes things go bad. And so I just decided it's about time that I get out. And I always remember when Omaha sold, Warren Buffett sat next to me when he got approved. And he asked me, he said, can you make any money at this? I said, yeah, when you get out. So I decided my family had paid their dues. It's time that I got out with my general partnership, which is more valuable than being a limited partner. And so I let it be known among the circles that I was willing to sell my general partnership. So when it surfaced from the guys in Chicago, they wanted to go a different route where they had majority. So between Walter and me, we had majority. And Walter had always been so loyal to me. So Walter and I agreed to sell our portion to the group from Chicago. And they had also said we will take the others out if they want to be taken out, but we prefer they stay in. They came up with a plan that was worthwhile for me and for Walter. And so I didn't leave with any animosities towards anything. I left with saying I paid my 19 years of dues. I didn't take a whole bunch of money out. We put it right back in the ballpark. Every owner that was ever with me made money. So I said, I've done my duty. It's time to do something else with my life.
And so what else did you do?
Well, I thought about staying in baseball. I had a couple of offers to one from the Yankees, from George, that I would had to travel all the time. Another from Houston to be a professional scout of the scout leagues. But I didn't want to travel anymore. I'd had my fill of that with recruiting and all. And I just kind of kept looking at opportunities. And the guy I used to eat some with at a little restaurant over on Franklin Road, he had died. He owned Melrose Bowling Alley. So I said, I might just run that thing. That'd be something to do. So I put in an offer to buy it. They turned me down. In the meantime, Uberov had called me to see if I'd like to put a group together to buy the Kansas City Royals. And because they were in a trust, and that trust was running out. So just through newspaper articles and all, I knew when the Rangers got sold when I left, one of the very small partners was a guy named Rick Scott. And then when the Tennessean or Banner ran a thing when they moved it here, when he took over HCA, it said he was from Kansas City. So through a mutual acquaintance, I got word, would you like to bid on Kansas City? I figured I'd never hear from him, but 15 minutes later, he calls me, won't you meet with me over on Woodmont Avenue, temporary office? Yeah, I'm interested. And then he's got the money to buy the whole league if he wants to. He was getting a lot of bad publicity. So he decided at the last minute, I don't want to do it at this time, but let's do something together. So I looked at bowling through the Bowl America Public Trading Company and said, that sounds like fun, kind of like baseball, customer related. So he and I decided to get into bowling. And so we bought Murfreesboro, and in 2000, we just kept buying them. Till finally he decided he wanted to be governor, then he wanted to be senator, and get out of business. And so I bought him out. I'm now got 15 bowling centers, 578 lanes of bowling, 570 some odd employees that do all the work, and I take all the credit. And Shirley spends all the money.
And you all, but it's not just bowling, is it? It's entertainment, like you first talked about baseball.
Yes, we have food and bars at all of them, but in each city we have another big family fun centers with that bumper cars and laser tag and a bungee jump in Hendersonville, roller skating, and a whole lot of arcade games. So we have leagues, and they're very important. Bowling's a very well kept secret of. It's the second most popular activity, only behind jogging, of all activities that people do.
And it must be rewarding that your children are involved with you too. I'm not sure if all of them, but some of them are involved.
I don't know whether you call that rewarding or not. They're involved. We're having to do estate planning, so hopefully after we're gone, they can carry on the tradition. But the three boys are involved to certain degrees. The oldest son is involved full time. The other two work when we need them, and that's our oldest daughter's in Chicago, and our youngest daughter is happily married to an accountant guy.
Well, I've got to ask this question. What's the difference between baseball and bowling if you own bowling alleys, and the difference between owning baseball teams?
Well, number one, there's no rainouts. Number two, the players don't give the balls away to the groupies. Number three, you got some revenue every day. Other than that, the competitive level of those league bowlers is every bit as competitive as the level of a professional baseball player at different levels. It's like Baseball, you got rookie ball, A ball, double A, triple A, major league. Bowling the same way. You got a scratch bowler, low handicap, high handicap. They all got a chance to win. And so they're very competitive. Our youngest league bowler is 3. Our oldest league bowler has just turned 103 in Knoxville. She bowls in 3 leagues.
That's a great story. That's a great story. A couple of things that I think about when I think about the sounds. Number one, we used to love to go to Sluggers, take that elevator and go up to the top and sit on the glass. And one special time, Uncle Walter took me and my dad, Virgil, and we sat with Jim Turner.
Yeah.
And that was when Michael Jordan was with the Barons, and he made some observations about how Jordan wouldn't make it to the major leagues because of some inadequacies and inconsistencies that he had. But another thing that I guess a lot of your fans would remember is that you didn't sit in your office during ball games. You were out among the fans that paid to get into the games. Was that something that you did on purpose, or did it just come as a byproduct of owning a team? Because I think it served you well that you were a face to the business of baseball.
No, that was definitely by design. I figure like, number one, I'm going to get input, honest input. And, I'm from Nashville, so a lot of them people knew me from growing up or whatever. And I wanted to get to know those people. I knew how to reach the season ticket holders. I could be down by the third base gate. I could see them come in. They're regulars. They felt more comfortable telling me what they liked and didn't like. They were more into the game than the ones that came in the first base gate. We educated our sound desks to notify me or whoever else of a troublemaker that might be in a certain area, a guy that had too much to drink or using bad language. And I would want to speak to anybody, sign anything. The kids were running around. Well, he's somebody, so won't you sign this? So I do it. And I thought that was very, very important. Instead of, I wasn't there to, it wasn't my job to observe the players. I had no control over them. So why worry about them? I'm not a general manager of the players. I'm a general manager of the fans. That was by design. My whole design was if I can speak to every person in here, that's good. I get some great ideas at the first base gate. People are leaving, and somebody told me, your ladies' restroom is a little bit dirty. I could immediately go to, hey, somebody said that ladies' restroom was dirty. Promotions. Going out that night, that guy mentioned to me, how would you like to have Ann Quillen, the movie was out, Annie, come down and sing Anthem for you? Okay. I didn't think it. 3 days later, the agents called me, when do you want her? I could come up with some really good ideas that from well-meaning fans. And every now and then a complaint, I always knew what the big complaint, what people thought. All them free tickets was out there. None of them tickets were free. Kroger would pay me $10,000 or something to donate for them to have 100,000 tickets printed. And I'd do it on a Monday or Tuesday, when I knew crowd. And all of a sudden we got as many people on Mondays we got on Saturday. Well, I knew going through there, somebody with that free ticket would say, why can't I sit down there? There's an empty seat. You mentioned a minute ago at Vanderbilt, I have to go sit where it wasn't going to be my room. I would know, okay. You had an option when you came in. You could have paid $3 more and go sit in that seat. It's not fair to those other people. So that complaint, I had it rehearsed all along. And I've had people stand outside on those nights that they got 10 Kroger tickets and they're free to them. They're selling them to somebody else. I said, I don't care. We kind of operate under it's not how much you paid to get in, it's how much you paid to get out. And I always figured a family only had X number of dollars to spend. And I want them to be able to spend 100% of it with us and be happy that they got the value. I have the same philosophy in bowling.
You came up with an idea long before the sounds that maybe Major League Baseball could come to Nashville. Now there's an effort for that to happen. Do you think that Nashville is still worthy of a Major League Baseball franchise?
I think Nashville's worthy. I don't know if it'll happen.
It seems like some movement with Oakland wanting to move to Vegas, and maybe when Tampa gets their situation squared away, that there may be some talk of expansion. Would you go to a game if the Nashville so-and-so were playing the New York Yankees here in Nashville? Would you go to a game?
Would I?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. In your life in baseball, as you look back, was there anything that you could have done a little bit different? Do you have any regrets about anything at all? Has your outlook changed about some of the things that you did back in the old days?
I can honestly say that during that era and our handicap of having to build the stadium and keep the stadium up, that there's nothing I could have done different. Would I've done different things if the city had built us a great new stadium and I was trying to get another minor league stadium during that time. I think Bredesen was helpful, but the Titans came along and we got pushed back. He would eventually got another stadium done, and I think that Purcell was trying to get another stadium for the new owners also. So I wish I'd had a better stadium. I built what I could. It stood for 30 some odd years. It had some imperfections because we didn't have the money to do certain things. Better dressing locker rooms for the players. That was the biggest thing. We built a separate locker room underneath the grandstands on third base side because first base was so bad. We built a separate place for the umpires, but still wasn't perfect.
But the field was pretty good.
Field was fine for what he had. It was over a lot of rock.
Right.
Right field was never able to be graded perfectly. Didn't bother playing, but it bothered where the rain would run off.
And you had that magnificent guitar scoreboard out in the outfield, which was your idea from the beginning.
Drew it up on a napkin.
Just like the Sounds logo.
Yep, I drew it up on a napkin, gave it to Fair Play. They came back with a thing standing up straight. Instead of, I said, no, you got to lay it down. I got to sell ads. I need those notes, those 3 on each side of a guitar, and I need the tri-visions and all those other things. And they drew it up professionally and took 8 trucks to haul that thing in.
And it was iconic.
And I copied Bill Veeck's idea. I'd gone to the All-Star game in '83 at Chicago. I wanted to know how he did that exploding scoreboard. So I walked out. That's a packed house. So I walked over and asked the guy on the gate, can I get back in if I go out and see how they doing that scoreboard? Yes. So I go out. It's a very true story. Right as I get out there, there's this little old guy sitting on a mail crate. Fred Lynn hits a grand slam home run. I missed it, of course. And here comes over the voice, shoot it. And he pushes a bunch of buttons, and you thought fireworks is coming out of that scoreboard. So we did the same thing with our scoreboard. But we had it go minimum because you could only shoot 16, 4 at a time. Only one time did we ever run out of fireworks. But we had a guy sitting out there, if the Sounds hit a home run, would shoot 4 of them. If they hit a home run at the end of the game, we'd shoot all 16. And I think the new ownership group did away with that. But it was an exploding scoreboard.
So Nashville has you to thank for the scoreboard, for the original Sounds logo, for putting a minor league baseball team in Nashville after a 15-year absence. And that's why I call you not only a visionary, but you taught people how to promote their team, how to put fannies in the stands, if you will, and make the ball club and subsequent ball clubs a success. And I want to thank you for spending your time with me, Shirley. Thanks for sitting in and being your support for this man. I think you're great. I admire you. It's been a real delight to have you sit in with me on my podcast for today. And we'll do it again another time.
Well, thanks for the kind word. That praise needs to be spread among a bunch of other people, though, because I had a lot of help doing it.
Yeah, but if I had my druthers, there'd be a Larry Schmittou statue out in the front of the ballpark today. So anyway, thank you. Yeah, I'm grateful for your time.
My pleasure.